There is something inside of me that has awoken. I am one of millions who are equal in this land. I want to know the fabric of my leaders. I want to know upon what you stand. I wish to know the character of the leader and why, and if I should really follow the leader. I wish to know ukuthi endlek why I should vote for you. It's election season in South Africa, elections 2024. And here on Moya, we said that we want to get to know our leaders. So we've made political parties pay to come and hang out with us, get to know their leaders, and we get to know the history of the party. Thank you so much for all your support and love. We do see you guys. I hope you enjoyed the Vuyo Zungula episode and the Andle Mutama episode. Today, you can see my t-shirt. We have got the Pan-Africanist Congress. So this party never gets any airtime. We're going to find out why. We've got the new president, President MZWANELE Nyhontso. You know, the first thing I think a lot of people want to know is why is PAC so scattered, or why do we get that impression?
Greetings to you.
Greetings to you, and thank you for coming.
And to your viewers, and thanks for having us. Yeah, that's a relevant question or concern. And we understand. But also, truth is, we are no longer scattered. We were scattered. I mean, the best way to solve your problems is first to admit that you do have problems.
Yeah.
So we did that. We admitted that we had problems. We admitted that we needed help. And we knew that help wouldn't come from anywhere, but from within the PAC of Azania. And thanks to the veterans, the stalwarts, the former leaders, even though they were leading different factions of the PAC, but they met under one roof in Kimberley and produced this leadership. This leadership that today has taken PAC from the periphery straight to the center of politics. And today everybody knows that there is one PAC, there is one leadership, and everybody knows that PAC is here, and it's no longer participating in elections. But this time we're contesting. We're back.
I'll say.
Yes.
So then, can you give us the history? Because, you know, a lot of young people follow this channel and we haven't always been interested in politics. Where does PAC feature in the national struggle story? So take us to the beginning and the formation of PAC. And
In fact, maybe let me start by saying, Tsigi, without PAC, there would be no freedom. And without PAC, South Africa would not be where it is today. It is the courage of leaders like Sobukwe, Mutuping, many more, who challenged the ANC at the time. In 1955, when they brought in a document that was unknown, called Freedom Charter, that Epegu is calling it Freedom Cheetah. And,
yes.
and they challenged that document because that document is still saying this country belongs to all who live in it. And they challenged the document up until the leadership of the ANC did not listen to them. They were physically dealt with in meetings up until they served the divorce papers. The parting of the ways. That's how Sobukwe put it. And they left ANC. They formed this organization in 1959 in Orlando. The reason why we're going to Orlando on the 2nd of March is because we want to launch our manifesto where PAC was founded. So They formed PAC. And 6 April, this giant organization was born. Sobukwe emerged as its president, and PK Libalo as its secretary general. But in that founding conference, they took a resolution to have a conference in December of that year, where they were going to come up with a program of action, because they wanted to take the struggle straight to the white people. And it is in that conference that they said a program must be adopted to take the struggle forward. And that's when they adopted that PAC should embark on the anti-pass campaign of 1960, which resulted in Sharpeville and Langa massacres. Now, fast forward, there was Sharpeville. And if there was no Sharpeville, political organizations were not going to be banned.
Oh, wow.
They were only banned because Sobukwe embarked on that program. Anyway, before embarking on the program, he wrote a letter inviting his former organization, the ANC. And the response from the then Secretary General was that the ANC won't be part of a campaign that was not properly planned and that was going to fail. And they embarked on that campaign in 1960 in Sharpeville, in Langa, in Orlando, and everywhere. The rest is history. And all organizations were banned. It was out of PAC that struggle changed. Now, they were no longer complaining about tomatoes, onions, to be co-opted in the system and to be part of parliament and so on. Now, Abu Sobukwe said the struggle was about land.
Yeah.
Because 1949 program of action of the ANC Youth League were talking about that. And Sobukwe took that program as it was. And they started launching the anti-pass campaign. Now, organizations were banned because of PAC. Immediately after the organization were banned, PAC, ANC at the time. Now, there's this comrade who later became the chairman of the PAC, Nyati Pogel, who said, and I'm sure he was quoting Sobukwe, that ever since 1912, when the ANC was formed, we were always prepared to die for our freedom. But now we're prepared to kill for it. And armed struggle was launched. Now, PAC still was the first organization to launch an army, Pogo.
My goodness.
September 1961, APLA was formed, or Pogo. And you know, October, ANC formed MK. So we're the first ones to do everything. And the rest is history, PAL operations, here, everywhere. Everybody, including your own parents, were arrested, and it's because of Pogo. And that was the real struggle. Now they were taking struggle straight to the white people. And most of them left the country for military training. They went abroad, and then there was a struggle. There was a struggle for land. Stop complaining and stop telling people that we just want to be co-opted into the system. That's why I'm saying without PAC, there would be no freedom. Now, fast forward again. CODESA, negotiations, Mandela got out of jail, our leaders came from exile, from jail, and so on. But PAC was still embarking on armed struggle. We were the last ones to go above the ground. We were the first ones to go underground. So we wanted to liberate this country in the true sense of the word, because PAC is clear. The struggle without land is not the struggle. The freedom without land is not freedom. Now, whatever happened at CODESA, those negotiations, grotesque and so on, even to date, the land is still in the hands of our oppressors. And yet the item of conflict is the land. The reason ANC was formed in 1912 They're fighting for the land. The reason PAC was formed in 1959 was to continue with the struggle for the land. The reason they all left for exile, the reason they went to jail, the reason they were hanged, the reason they were killed, were all fighting for the land. But where is the land? Then why are we comfortable?
You know, a lot of people, especially the young people, they don't quite understand the land issue. Do you mind unpacking it for us, even from the Land Act, you know, and how white people used political power and how we have failed to use political power to change laws?
Yeah, firstly, when some of us were joining the PAC for the first time, we were young, and at that time, debates were the order of the day.
Yes.
And we used to say, Tina, we're fighting for the land, and our opponents would always create mockery out of that. That, okay, we'll go there and bring the land with this wheelbarrow. This is the land. So what else do you want? But land issue is bigger than that.
Yeah.
Land is economy. Land is what we are wearing today. Land is the space. Land is that reserve bank. Land is everything you can think of. Land is dignity. We are related to land. I mean, this is a God-given gift given to us by God as Africans. You see, and this is the reason why PAC left in 1955. They were saying, this land was given to us. And Africa is for Africans, and Europe is for Europeans. We are not claiming any square inch of Europe. Why these guys are here claiming our land? So land question is bigger than that. It's fine. Let me not talk about 1652 and so on. Let's just talk about the act. We know our land was robbed
You
in
can go to
1652.
1652.
My point
Yes.
is that this land act is something new. But in that parliament, we pretend as if the land problem started in 1913. When we were invaded in 1652 and 1913 was yesterday. Our land, our forefathers, our kings were killed fighting for the land. Even to date, Hinza does not have a head in his shallow grave in Butterworth. His head is still in Britain. No, that was long before 1913. And all your kings, Sandwane, we fought there. Our kings were leading the struggle. Moshwe, Sekuk, all of them, they were fighting for the land. Now, this 1913 Land Act, which took 13% of the land and given it to Africans and 87% to white people. In fact, rich land to white people. And that's what the current government is failing to do. Just to by a show of hands, Nsiki. They don't even have, these cowards, they don't even have to use guns and take the land. We just need 201 people to vote against that Land Act and return the land. 201 out of 400 MPs. We just need that political will to vote in parliament in favor of our people. When the motion was tabled last year of land expropriation
I remember,
without compensation, we participated in that debate, and I was very clear. I was saying, this is not what the PAC stands for. PAC stands for land restoration. It stands for land repossession, because we are a dispossessed nation.
Yes.
So we must repossess our land. Now, if you happen not to pay your car, the bank will simply repossess their car. They are not going to expropriate it with or without compensation. You won't get any compensation. Once you don't honor the contract, the bank will just take their car, and it's called repossession. And that's what is needed in Tanzania, to repossess our dispossessed land. But because on the agenda of the day, the item was the land expropriation without compensation. And I was very clear that I was going to support this motion because it was talking about land. But it is not what the PAC stands for. I know others from that meeting, they started accusing me that you are ANC, you should not support ANC and so on. But the interesting part is that the ANC that submitted or that tampered with the motion of the EFF and changed it into their motion decided not to attend Parliament on the day. And that motion did not succeed. And yet we were there. And they did not attend, they were upset deliberately. Because none of them is serious about land question.
Why is that?
It is because they are cowards. It is because they are handled by white people. It is because they are used by Western powers and they are handlers here inside Azania who do not want us to talk about real issues. And the real issue is the land question. Now, they decided not to honor it. They did not go to Parliament. There were few, and the motion did not pass. I mean, let me say, black people in that Parliament, almost more than 300. But that motion did not pass.
Ingathi nithakathiwe.
Exactly, bathakathiwe. Because some of us were there. And we were saying, Bapilaba Bandizan here. Come and vote against and vote for this thing. We want our land. Our people out there, they want land. Our people out there, you cannot build a nation over 350 rands. Get grant. You can't have a nation ehlala dependency syndrome. By the way, ungenzani nge 351.
My gosh.
The doctor is 500 rands. So for 30 days, how do you survive with 350? You see, let's change. Okay.
Petrol 2 days later.
In fact, 1 day. Okay, must change again. Give members of parliament 350 and give ordinary people that 60,000 we're getting there every month.
But
and
isn't
see if we are going to survive.
Isn't that how you've been bought, though, there in Parliament?
That's what I'm saying.
With that 60,000?
That's what I'm saying. There, yes, we are. That is exactly what I'm saying. Now, that's why I'm saying they are talking about land question. For them, it's just fashionable because kudala abantu babehlekisa ngathi. But now everybody is starting to understand that without land, there's nothing. Everybody is starting to understand that what PAC leaders were saying, even in 1994, when they said land first, all shall follow. That means if you address the land question, half of your problems would be resolved in this country. Now, if you have members of parliament who cannot go and vote in favor of the land question, that means, in fact, I was frustrated on the day I even issued a statement that people out there must just take this matter upon themselves and go to the street and demand their land, even if it means they take up arms. Because you must take up arms for what you believe is yours. You can't be involved in a struggle if you are smiling. How do you fight if you are smiling? So that's PAC at its best, and that is what we are trying to do to revive this great party of Sobukwe and take it back to the center stage. And I think we're succeeding in doing that.
So in that era when there was a time when the PAC leaders were behaving like the COPE leaders. That battle for the 60K, basically.
Yeah.
How do you avoid that situation? And how did you navigate?
In fact, let's say COPE leaders are behaving like they are trying to behave like PAC leaders. The other way around. No, there was that reality in Sigel. It was painful.
Yes. Because you lost a lot of people.
Too much.
Yeah.
And at some point, there were 5, 6, or 7 factions. And everybody was calling himself president.
There was a president who was part of ANC.
Correct. and it was painful when we went to funerals. and we would fight over the speakers in front of everyone. And I think the media was really, really enjoying it. They would cover everything of the PAC because they wanted to come up with this narrative of a fighting PAC, of a dead PAC, of PAC that is led by clowns and so on. And the ruling party, as you correctly said, decided to exploit the situation.
Yes.
And amongst ourselves, they would have their own presidents.
Yes.
And among ourselves, they would be able to say, no, we prefer this one. Yes. We don't prefer this one. And it's alleged that others were even spending their lunches at Luthuli House and so on. I don't even know where is Luthuli House. I've never been there. But they were exploiting the situation,
Yes.
and it was painful up until we tried to eliminate all these factions until we remain with two. The leadership that emerged out of Unity Conference. I was the president, and there was this guy whose name I can't call, who kept on calling himself president, and he took us to court on the eve of 2019.
Oh my God.
And up until the judge, or judges there, but Judge Mavundla said, no, I'm not going to rule. I'm going to give you time. Get into that room and settle. And if you are not settling, the PAC won't participate in elections.
Yeah.
And he said, you should sit down, come up with a settlement and bring it here. I'm going to make it a judgment. And it took us 2 to 3 days.
In the room.
In court. Yes. And there was the president elected in Kimberley. And there was this guy who was not the president who said it was me or nothing. And the clock was ticking. We were left with 4 or 5 days before the closure of elections. And I had to come out and said, okay, let me borrow from biblical Samson. Mm-hmm. And I thought of the story of 2 women who were fighting over 1 child. Up until Samson said, okay, masimhlule phakathi. And umntu afumane half, omnye afumane half. But that would mean umntana ufile. And I said, instead of killing PAC, let me resign as president of the PAC here in court and let this man to be the president. I will also support him because this party must not die. And that's what happened. And the judge just made that an order of the court. That's how then we killed all the factions.
And then?
And then the judge, I think the judge, being the judge, was brilliant enough to see and know the situation, just like Samson. And then the judge came up with other things that, no, okay, you are the president now, but Nyhontso must go and be number 1 in parliament. You are the face winner of the party. This one must go to parliament. But I'm giving you 6 months. Go to the elective Congress after elections. Go to the elective Congress because at the end of the day, democracy must prevail.
Yeah.
So go to elective conference, elect leadership of the PAC, and the leadership that will emerge there will be the lawful leadership of the PAC. And that's what happened. I resigned. Everybody insulted me that you are a coward. We elected you. You are running away and so on. But I believe that I saved PAC on that day. And he was the president. I called him my president. He was all over the country. I was putting posters all over the country. I was listening to him in meetings. I had to. For the sake of the PAC, for the sake of our martyrs, those who died for this organization. And 6 months came, a week before the conference that was sanctioned by the judge. The man said, no, I'm no longer part of that judgment. I'm calling my own conference.
What?
Exactly. And then the conference happened. He did his own conference. It's fine with few people in the classroom in Limpopo. And of course, we took that nonsense to court. And then it was nullified. The judgment came again. We were declared as the lawful leadership of the PAC. We were even given a declaratory order. And yeah, I proudly say, there is one PAC. We contested local government elections with few councillors, I'm sure 8 to 9 nationally. And we contested because the declaratory order was issued 5 minutes before the closure of 2021 local government. And we registered in few municipalities and we received 23 councillors and we voted in all metros. We've got councillors in metros.
Okay.
So I'm saying that is a launching pad point for us going to national elections. And PAC is one. We are no longer having factions. We can still have those who complain because it's normal. But
Yes.
at least there is one PAC and we are contesting elections for the first time since 1994 as a united party.
Wow.
So here we are.
So, President, can you give us, where did you grow up? Because now we as the community want to get to know you, the character and the fiber and how you ended up in politics. What are some of the childhood things that shaped your thinking and your, So, khule kanjani?
No. I was born and bred in Tsandane.
Okay.
Aninzoma's wiper.
Yes. Yes.
So that's where I was born. The thing is, I've never been part of any political organization because of PAC leaders and PAC members. I think from advantage was that from my branch, there were a lot of PAC veterans were coming from Robben Island, our fathers. They were on Robben Island. So almost the whole village, you see, they were members of the PAC. So you name them, your Tobotis are coming from that place, the Ngukanas, Boniswa Ngukana, the only woman that was killed carrying an AK-47 in Kasha's neck. And all of them, Nongubas, a lot of families, they were coming from Robben Island. So we grew up in that situation. And when we were starting to understand politics, we only understood PAC because we only knew Sobukwe and PAC. And in 1989, there was this rally in Butterworth. It was a NAC2 rally then because parties were not unbanned. So we attended that rally. I think it was PAM, during the time of PAM, Pan-Africanist movement. That was launched because PAC was banned. So we attended that rally.
But you've jumped now. How did you even get into young people politics?
No. Remember, it was just, it was only talking to your brothers and cousins and siblings that your father was in jail, your mother
So how old are you around this time?
Around 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah, around
Okay,
15,
so a young
16.
man.
Yeah, a young man. Yeah,
Okay.
a young man, a teenager. And,
Yes, going to the
and my football
meetings.
name was Teenage.
Okay, teenager.
So then I understood that there was PAC. Of course, we understood that there was ANC. But then everybody was PAC, our elders there. So it was obvious that we were all PAC. So there was no need for anyone to recruit us and say, join PAC. Because we just told ourselves that we were PAC. No, we did not know what was PAC and what was it fighting for. But we knew that we were PAC. And then, of course, as I said, Woniswa Ngukana and others were killed in 1985 and we were told that they died. But we were not aware what really happened. But we knew that they were PAC. So it was the question of telling ourselves that, see PAC up. See, I don't want to say they indoctrinated us. But that's what happened.
Yes.
But when they took us to a rally in Butterworth, for the first rally of the PAC, let me say it, we attended. It was PAM rally. And from there, the rest is history. We never looked back. We became part of PAC, and in 1990, political parties were organizations then, let me say, were unbanned and were active and young. And we wanted to go to exile, by the way, and joined APLA. And then we were told that no, APLA is ready to introduce what they called internal training. So that's how we benefited from APLA, and we served in all structures of the PAC.
This is all from the village.
Yes, all from the village. We were talking about this with General Olomisa because the SADAF, or South African government, was on top of him that you have opened APLA camps throughout Transkei. And he was denying that fact. And it is true that we received military training in that Transkei because APLA had to send commanders inside to come and prepare us for what we saw as the coming People's War and the Land War.
How did you guys even organize yourselves? What? Because we can't even imagine it. I mean, like if they said guys were going to war.
No, it's very easy to
Next
train
week.
guerrillas. This man can just train all three of us in this room and be guerrillas. Every night he would just take us to terrain. And in the morning we behave like others, like other children. And at night we go to school during the day.
Is that what you were doing?
Exactly. We had to do it. We'd go to school during the day, hence the slogan, PASO by day and APLA by night.
What's PASO?
It's Pan-African Student Organization. That was student wing of PAC. Yes. Then there was no PASMA. The PASMA that is now operating at the institutions of higher learnings. We were all PASO, whether you were at university or at high school, it was the same. And during the day we were PASO, and at night we were APLA. And we are proud of that.
It's because I want to. So, who were some of your leaders and stuff? Because you said PAC was founded in Soweto. So, how does it spread throughout the country? And
no, I think after even before the Underpass campaign, the PAC was all over, because after the launch of the PAC, Sobukwe went to Cape Town. Then there were four provinces. He went to Cape Town. He recruited a lot of people there. They went to Eastern Province. So it was Cape Town and Eastern Cape were Eastern Province.
Okay.
And Northern Cape, there were four provinces. So PAC was all over. Now, it was no longer people who formed it in Soweto. In fact, the first national organizer in Sobukwe's leadership was coming from Tsandane. Elliot Mfaka. We're from the same area. We buried him, I think, 2010. So he was the first national organizer. So the PAC was just all over. In fact, as I was, at Standard 10, if you remember, there was this history book, Timelines. And they wrote in one of their history that in 1962, PAC was bigger than ANC in terms of numbers.
What?
Yes. It was after the Underpass campaign. Remember, in Eastern Cape, even if you did not take part, I'm told every man was just taken to jail for PAC, for PAC activities. So our fathers were not imprisoned in Cape Town or in Gauteng. They were taken in Tsandane. You see, Boaz went there and collected them there. Otobot would tell you they were chained two at the back of the buggy, driving from Butterworth to Robben Island. So PAC was all over. It was just the question of uniting it with a program of action. Have one PAC as we're doing right now. Have one PAC so that we stop this thing of being scattered, and otherwise we are all over. We are a national organization. We're not a regional party. You can't find us in Transkei and you don't find us in Transvaal. No, that's not PAC. We're all over. In fact, we are an international organization. Hence, we're Pan-Africanists. We want the unification of Africa.
I was about to ask, what does PAC stand for? I mean, people are going to vote now. If you're saying vote for PAC, what are we actually voting for? What is...
No, firstly, a vote for PAC is a vote for land, which is the core of what we're fighting for, or we should be fighting for, all of us as political parties. So a vote for PAC is a vote for land. It is a vote for dignity. It is a vote to project the African personality. It is a vote for a continental unity, a unity of Africa from coast to coast. We don't believe that South Africa, as called by white people, for us, South Africa is just a mere geographic possession. So we don't believe that this is a country. A country should be Africa. We are Pan-Africanists. We are fighting for Pan-Africanism. We want Africa to be one. We want Africa to have one president, one currency, one army, one everything, so that we become what Abu Sobukwe said and Kwame Nkrumah said, a monolithic state, the giant state of Africa that stretches from Cape to Cairo, from Morocco to Madagascar. That giant state, if it can be established, we can never say United States of America is the strongest state in the world. The state would be Africa, that strongest state. And that is what they are resisting. We are Pan-Africanists, we are for Africans in Africa, and of course, Africans in the diaspora, as Peter Tosh would say, if you are a black man, you are an African. It doesn't matter whether you are in Jamaica, you are in the Caribbean, you are an African. That is the vision of our founding fathers, Kwame Nkrumah, Sir Felix Houphouët-Boigny, Patrice Lumumba, all of them. Sobukwe.
You know, a lot of big soreness in the South African family is the issue of illegal immigration, they call it. It's more Afrophobia because they're not really targeting the white illegal immigrants. It's more about the African. So what's the PAC stance with regard to that? Because that's a big one, especially getting to the elections. People are really sore about jobs and put South Africa first, and so.
Yeah, you're right. Firstly, let's agree that we are Africans. Firstly, let's agree that an African from Zimbabwe or an African from DRC is an African, is my brother, is your brother, is your sister, is not a kwere. And let's agree that white people do not belong here. They belong to Europe. They are Africans by adoption. They are not Africans. As Sobukwe would say that they are Africans, an African is anyone who pays his loyalty and allegiance to Africa and Africa alone, irrespective of color or creed. But the problem that we have now in Tanzania is that a lot of white people, whether they're from Israel or from America or Britain, they are called tourists. When in fact they are thugs. When in fact they are drug lords, the real drug lords. When in fact they don't pay even their allegiance to Africa, whatever money they have, they bank it in Europe. Okay. Because Europe is their home. Their allegiance is in Europe, it's not here. Now, that's the first problem that we must understand. We must stop calling our brothers amakwerikweri and call abelungu babeza zitorists ngabatyeleli. You see, no, that's wrong. It's part of this mentally poisoned colonial mind that we have. So that's one. Number two, we can't say we must have what we call just open borders. Open borders and allow everyone to come in. You know, Nsiki, that's not true. That's not being realistic.
Yes.
Now, uhlala pha kwakho ushiye isiciko sijika kwi-ignition, ushiye icango lemoto livuliwe, uvule emnyango ungavali, uthi because I'm staying amongst African people and therefore no one is going to do anything wrong here. Crime is crime. So we are saying if people are coming here in Tanzania, they must be registered. You can't just come in and out. So this so-called illegal immigration, for us, these Africans, if they want to come in Tanzania, which is their home anyway, they must be registered, because we can't pretend as if there's these artificial borders that we don't recognize and we would want to abolish once we attain real liberation. Not this one. Islopoya is iskoyo. We those borders will abolish them, but for now they are there. Now, cross Aguze, you must register. Everybody must know that so and so is in Tanzania now. So and so, I was in Kenya just before Christmas. And it took us more than 45 minutes to pass there. You see, we are being searched, despite the fact that we are using diplomatic passports. Now, I was angry before I went to Kenya because I was invited by PLO in Palestine to attend the 75th Nakba commemoration in Ramallah. Now, Israel refused me. Though I'm having the diplomatic passport, they still refused me visa. They were saying I'm undesirable in Israel. And South African government could not do anything. They tried, Shem, to write letters, the foreign affairs, but that no, he's a member of parliament. This is my diplomatic passport. Nancy passport, yeah, an official passport, is going to Ramallah, is not going to Israel. And Israel kept on asking me, imibuzo nje edikayo wazibane Israel, and I said, hayi suka ndazi uYesu Kristu. I mean, why must I know anyone in Israel? But that's not the point. My point is that Israelites are coming to South Africa as and when they want.
Yeah.
Here at the airport, most of the business there is owned by Israelites who do not even have papers to be here. But because they are white, they are staying in this country. They do as they wish. Because they are white, they are employing our own sisters, our own brothers, and they are super exploiting them, and in order to get super profits. And our government is keeping mum. So that is what it means to vote for peace. Sizabuyisela isidima som-Afrika kum-Afrika. Sizawuyeka ii-crumbs. We must stop ezinto ze-crumbs. Asifuni thina uphiwa ilofu yesonka. Sifuna ibhekari so that senze ilofu zezonka ngokwethu. Because this is our land, a God-given gift.
You know, you raised something so interesting just now. You raised the issue of Israel and Palestine. And you know, as much as obviously from Uzwelo and from a point of Ubuntu, we understand the dynamics of the apartheid Japan and how it's so evil and stuff. But when we look at our history and backtrack a little bit more, we find out that the Arabs were the first people to actually enslave abantu abamnyama. And now City who are going there to protect them and Kulma the loudest, and you know, so what is that about? What is it about abantu abamnyama where now the Abantu who had enslaved us and killed us in our history? Say City futhi sesiyabakhulumela futhi.
Now, remember, we are disciples of Sobukwe. And Sobukwe says there is no black race or white race. He says there is only one race to which all belong, and that is the human race. Now, we support Palestinians, one, on the basis of humanity. Two, we support Palestinians because they are fighting the struggle, exactly the struggle that was fought here by our forefathers, or that by us anyway. We're still fighting that struggle. The struggle of the land. Now, we know about that history of Arabs that were told about, but in our own history, we know PLO that was close to the PAC and the struggles of Azanian masses, to all of, in fact, including the ANC. So it's good to support that struggle because it is a just struggle. It's good to support those people, not because they are Arabs, because they are human beings, because they are being killed, maimed every day by Western powers. In fact, I subscribe to a school of thought that says there's no country called Israel. In fact, what we call Israel is just the American camp. It's a military base of America. They are killing innocent people, women, children, every day for their own land. In fact, those people, I was talking to Christians from my area that I must remind you that, because some of you are saying, why should we support Israel, Palestine, because you are going to be cursed. That is a God's
the
chosen nation.
people.
No, that's not. Those people are the ones who killed Jesus Christ. The followers of Jesus Christ are in Palestine. They are killed every day. They kill Muslims there. They kill Christians there. They kill everyone. These are Jews who killed Jesus Christ only because he was sold by 30 pieces of silver, 30 cents in fact. He was betrayed by Judas, the Iscariot. Now, they killed Jesus. That's not the chosen nation. Those ones are just colonizers who are being used by America and Europe to get Palestinian land, to get Palestinian resources. Because you can go to Britain, you can go to America, they've got gold, they've got everything that we have in Africa, but they don't have mines. They don't have what we have here, and yet all our riches are there. Why? And we are keeping quiet. In fact, it's so painful. It was painful when Loa Makulu, Queen London in Ngwatyo, and the African presidents were even crying to attend the funeral.
So embarrassing.
They were even writing to Britain, imagine the so-called African presidents. And the worst part was when they arrived in UK. They were all told that you can't even drive your cars. Kwelan in one bus. And babe pushana pa, including the South African president. Bonke babe pakishene pa, I'm told you, Numnango Waka was crying in Zimbabwe. He was writing letters that I want to come, but no, you are not coming. Imagine. African leaders. Embarrassing all of us. They want to go to attend a funeral of Kamama Wabo, an old woman from UK. The woman who is keeping our riches. All our riches are there. But by Commonwealth, there is nothing common in our wealth with those people. It's wealthy people. And they were crying. They wanted to attend this nonsense. Bakalelu mama. Some of them, they just lost their own mothers and they did not cry when their own mothers passed away. And they were crying. Such poisoned mental colonial minds of our own African leaders. That is the reason why Africa is in this state now. It is because we are led by misleaders, not leaders. It is because we are led by people abafunu chebisa bona. It is because we are led by people who are not even ashamed of keeping billions of rands under the mattress. Here in South Africa, here in South Africa, how do you sleep at night knowing very well that under your mattress there are billions? And when you were driving to your house, you were passing people out there begging for bread, and yet you still call yourself their leader. How do you do it? How do we do it? How do we sleep at night? You see, that's why Africa is in this state. People who live high but think simple. We must have leaders who think simple, who think high and live simple.
Yes.
To have a leader who's wearing a watch of worth 2.5 million, just a wristwatch, 2.5 million, is to live high and think simple. To have leaders who wear 500,000 shoes and come back and claim to be representing these people who go to sleep without food, who go to sleep without shelter, who go to sleep without anything, without clothes, without blankets. And yet we live high. And yet we think simple. They must vote for PAC so that we retain that dignity. They must vote for PAC so that we take our land. They must vote for PAC because we are not scared of white people. We are not. Because what is good about us? It's painful not to have money because no one is funding us, but we sleep well at night.
Yeah.
Because what you see is what you get. We are not sitting. If I'm sitting with you today, I'm not going to attend another meeting tonight and ask, why did you say this to Nsiki? But others will get that.
Yes.
If you invite me to your podcast, I must quickly and tell them that hey, Nsiki is inviting me. What do you think I should say there? We don't do that. So we
Some of them can't even take the interview.
Exactly. They can't even take it. So we sleep well at night because our conscience is clean.
Yeah.
Clean because we represent our people. We are with them and they are with us. We live with us. Last year and in 2021, I've decided to use my 60,000 that we are fighting over in Parliament.
Yes.
And 2020, 21, 20, I've been doing it since COVID to buy food parcels every month. Not using government money because I don't know where is it. I don't even know the account number of government. But I did it for the past. I was even doing it 2 weeks ago. Not only in Tsandane, throughout the country. I'm doing it in Cape Town and doing it in Northwest. I'm doing it all
If
over.
more parliamentarians.
But the first thing that I've been telling them that no, we'll come and feed 50 families here. But the first point is that we must buy from where we are buying. You see, they must eat what we are eating. We must not go and buy crumbs because we are going to give these ones. They must eat what I'm eating in my own house. So that's what it means to vote for PAC. We will all be equal. We want justice.
You know, I want to just, before Sivan, you seem to be centered around the land issue as PAC, ne? So what is the solution when we know what the problem is? Have you thought of ways that now, what's the systematic way that we're going to do this and work with white people to retrieve what is ours?
No, firstly, we are hoping that beyond these elections, African political parties, or let me use this, black political parties, not in our Africans, who are not black.
Yes.
You are also not black.
Yes, we're Africans.
So, but let me say black political parties because it's commonly called that. We'll sit down and have this political will and change the constitution in favor of our people. This is what I raised in Nkandla when I met Jacob Zuma 3 weeks ago. Because he started saying the land must be returned to its rightful
MK
owners.
is in the building.
Exactly. So that we were just hoping that after elections, we must devise means of taking the land. Stop talking about it. Now we're just using it as a political gimmick. So we must do it. We must know also the repercussions, that you will be sanctioned, the rand will go down and so on, and people would complain that the rand is going down, as if the rand is up, African people are benefiting. I mean, for us, the rand has been down since time immemorial.
Yep.
We are not benefiting anything
Yeah.
from the rand, whether it's going down or up.
Even Gigaba couldn't pick it up.
No, nobody could. If even the darling, their own darling Cyril could not pick it up. You see? So we must not listen to that nonsense. We must fight for our people. So it's very easy. This question was asked to me also by the Prophet Shembe of the Nazareth, as I visited him. And he said, how do you
Yeah, kanjani.
hope to get the land? And I said, we
Yes.
just need a political will. We need numbers. We may not have 200 members of parliament as PEC tomorrow. But if black political parties have them, as they are all talking about the problems of the land today, we will see if they mean it. We are ready to vote with them and vote for the land to be given back to its rightful owners. So that's very easy to get the land back. You must just go there and do away with all these things. The ANC, the willing buyer, willing seller. Yonke le nto le doesn't even make sense. What is that? We go and take the land and give it to the African people.
You know why I asked? Because the very real problem is that you'll have an Afrikaans family that owns 500 hectares of land, and now they're running this hiking spot, and they've got a river running through it, and then they're eating, and they're charging these exorbitant prices, and then they're just taking and taking and taking, and it's from a history where they got given this land from their lineage, which was stolen from us. So now for them, they feel like it's unfair because they weren't there before. They just know having this 100 hectares, and this 100 hectares is theirs. So, yes.
And they know that what they call title deeds are blood-stained title deeds.
Yes.
They remain land thieves. And you don't have to understand how do they feel. You must take that land from them. You don't have to ask them, how do you feel if we take this 100 hectares of land? Because yesterday I was in Limpopo, and I met with the truck drivers. Or I did not know that this sand that is sold to the builders and so on is part of mining. So they call it part of mining. So they take the sand in their own area, and they are asked by the Department of Mineral Resources that for them to be able to take that sand, they must register and pay an affiliation fee of 65,000 rands to white people. Now, they are saying if they happen to catch you digging that sand without that license, they confiscate your truck. And they showed me where trucks are kept. And for you to get that truck, you must pay 500,000 rands. You can go to...
Aibo.
I'm telling you. You can go to Parliament debate on Thursday last week. I raised it directly to Cyril. That do you know what is happening in Limbo? This is what is happening. And imagine you releasing your truck with 500,000, and yet this truck you bought it for 200,000. Imagine. Because they are blacks, they are Africans. They don't have value. Even in our own government, they don't have value. But if you are doing it to a white farmer, you are told that the economy is going to suffer. That's nonsense. The economy is not going to suffer. So we must take those. In fact, these white people have got 3, 5, 10, 15 farms in one country. 15 years ago, I was in Lesotho, where exhuming applicators were killed there. And we were talking to the then ambassador, I can't remember his name. And he was telling me that in Free State, there is a white farmer whose land is bigger than Lesotho as a country. In Free State. One farmer bigger than the Lesotho as a country. And our own government, African government, says nothing. They see nothing wrong with that.
Wow.
And yet they were formed on the foundations of land question. We are being led by agents. We are being led by cowards. I can assure you, with PAC at the helm, Azania will be free.
Thank you so much, President. Thank you for taking your time to be with us. We really enjoyed that conversation. And we'll see you guys at elections. And guys, if you want to vote for PAC, you know you're voting for land. I told you that I'm going to bring you the leaders here so that you guys can figure out who you're voting for and why. And like why we should vote for them. See you again next time.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into e off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.